Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Dan. And today, as you can see, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon where I'll be talking about the movies, of course, TV shows, merchandising, I don't know, whatever the case may be. If it's related to Disney in any shape or form, then yes, I'll be talking about it. Though technically, they didn't make this movie, but said character did make an appearance in some of those stuff, so that counts for something. Barbie and Her Sisters in the Great Puppy Adventure. Yeah, that's not a long title at all. No. Anyway, Barbie and Her Sisters in the Great Puppy Adventure was released direct to video, quite obviously, on October 27th of 2015, and it made its TV premiere on Nickelodeon on December 13th of the same year. Oh, come on. You trying to say that I can't write cursive like men would do? Yeah, come on, kid, we're done. Oh, come on, can you just go away? Seriously, I don't care what you do, really. Ugh. Oh, so you and the liberals are trying to take boxing away from men? Is that what you're doing? Uh, Christ, this guy needs to get alive. Anyway, I was attempting to say is another animated feature I have to review here. And, of course, as usual, I have the top of the plot. Let's get into it, shall we? So, in this movie, we get to see Barbie and her sisters. They're going to stay in Willows for a good little while, I guess you can say, because they were starting their summer vacation. And of course, we get to see that Barbie herself does drive them. When I say them, I mean her sisters, of course. There in their pink camper. Being the youngest here, Clarissa doesn't remember Willows whatsoever. But of course, we get to see that Barbie herself does remember it quite well, due to the fact that she's older than they are, obviously. She looked forward to spend some time with the grandma, quite obviously, who they would be staying with, and going to this willow forest with her childhood friend, quite obviously. And then, yes, the whole idea with the puppies and whatnot, they're going to have their own thing in here, quite obviously, you may expect, of course. Oh, what are you going to say, Kayla or Dan? Only women should go camping? That's a manly thing to do. Only men should do it. Honestly, I don't care who does it. Man or woman, whatever. I don't care. If you want to do it yourself, be my guest. Christ. Oh, what? I can't fix my truck? I can fix my truck if I want to. Where's my two shit at? I mean, really? Your toolbox? Is that what you mean? I don't care if you fix your truck. Ah, you type of people annoy me. Anywho, I was attempting to say here is that, yes, of course, just going to have the idea with the family. Just going to spend some time together, like these movies at times would do. So there's that. But anyway, there's just one segment of the film that does so like this old movies kind of a thing, old homemade movies, I should say. Bit where the grandma would have to put the VHS tape and in a high tech TV, which seems kind of odd, but whatever. But anyway, and I thought that was actually a nice little touch. That's a good little detail right there. By which I mean is that I know these characters are also from a TV show, and the TV show has a few movies attached to it, in which those storylines they usually use like high tech stuff, like an iPad, whatever phone is the recent version, I guess, stuff like that, or be on a computer, or be on a laptop, or like whichever recent version of that is out there. So going on, just arcing back to the old technology is a nice little touch, like a contrast to the typical stuff that we use within this franchise, which that's a nice touch, really. And okay, sure, that's fine. And yes, they will have their own bedrooms to sleep in, and just trying to spend some time is good. Quite obviously, it's not as easy as it seems, of course. And here, folks, it's not as easy as you might think. And of course, gotta make sure that everything goes according to plan, but we all know it never does. Of course, it don't. I gotta make the story interesting in some kind of fashion, I suppose. Oh, definitely. In the meantime, however, yes, quite clearly the puppies would do their own thing. Well, it is in the title, right? So there's that. So looking forward to spend some time with Graham, Barbie, her sisters, and yes, the four puppies must embark on this crazy treasure hunt because, like I said, it's not as easy as it seems. In their hometown of Willows, all they need to do is make sure they find the clues, but will they succeed? Will they get the prize? And what is that prize exactly? Well, you're gonna have to find out and watch the movie yourself because I ain't telling it here. Because the thing is that I rarely give any spoilers for movies. I mean, I rarely do, I guess, but still, though, I'm just saying. Anyhow, I just thought I'd just do this, of course. And this is pretty much is like a spin-off to ultimately this is what you would call an adventure movie. It's first and foremost it's an adventure movie. Again, it's in the title after all. It's in the title of the film. It's in the but obviously an adventure movie. So they have to go and do something to cause the adventure to happen, to do something. So you have to keep that in mind. So there's that, folks. Obviously, and that's the thing, though. If you've seen a lot of adventure movies before, this is something similar to that, quite obviously. And this is, of course, I guess attempting to reach more of a wider audience because I know a lot of these Barbie movies have tend to have like a mermaid theme, a princess theme, something of royal or whatever, something like that. But that's not in this case, really. I mean, some of these Barbie movies aren't even canon anyway, so there's that. So I guess this was Mattel's way to reach more of a wider audience. So it wouldn't just be in a specific box, I guess. So that's something. Well, is vinyl collecting still considered manly? Yeah, I think it is. Are you trying to stop me from doing that? Again, we've already been through this. I do not care. I do not care. Go ahead. Whatever. I can smoke cigarettes, right? Yeah, I'm allowed to smoke cigarettes. I'm gonna smoke some cigarettes because that's money. Oh my god, I do not care. Alright, so you got nothing else to do? And stop just bothering me? Oh, come on. I'll make sure you're not doing nothing sneaky. You do something like with her, I donated like 2 grand on her Twitch stream thing. Yeah, I did that not that long ago, though. That's what realize this, okay, man? Oh, you're a simp. A simp? Oh man, what kind of low life are you? Ugh, Christ, you give me a headache here. Anywho, like what I was trying to say here is that when it comes to the animation is actually quite nice in this one as well. I do like the animation. The character designs are pretty good. It was good to see these two coming up from time to time throughout the entire movie. And yes, it would interact with these characters as well, of course. Like I was saying, the animation is quite good here, folks, despite the fact of it's a direct-to-video. So the animation is really good. I like the colors. It's very vibrant throughout the entire thing. But I like the choice of colors as well, giving it a certain vibe to it, of course. And the colors that they chose does match the characters' personalities, of course. Just because they're all the same gender does not mean they're gonna have all the same personality, of course. Like no kidding. You'd be surprised how many people don't know that. Each individual character will have their own personalities, and yes, using color could be a good way to express that, and that's fine. So the animation is smooth and the colors are pretty vibrant. As for the character designs are pretty good as well. Maybe simply something that's fairly simplistic, but at the same time, there's quite a bit of detail towards it as well. On top of that, and then as for the art style is pretty detailed in some ways. Again, despite the fact that it's a direct-to-video. And yes, of course, you do have to keep in mind. Again, it's a direct-to-video. It's not gonna be some high-end Pixar Disney film that was released in movie theaters. But it's still pretty good, though. I'll give it that. So, and yes, when it comes to direct-to-videos, yeah, when it comes to Disney's direct-to-video animations, quite a few of them, if not the vast majority of them, are terrible. So I guess in this regard, I did enjoy this more than some of the a lot of the others I've watched when it comes to the direct-to-video stuff. But anyway, it just goes to show you that it doesn't matter what the budget is. I mean, I guess to some extent it does, I guess. But it just what matters at the end of the day ultimately is that is what you can do with it. What matters is what you can do with it, and how crafty you can tell a story in the grand scheme of things. Of course, not every story needs a villain, but you can always bring some kind of conflict into the story in some kind of fashion, in some kind of way. There's more ways to skin a cat, as the old saying goes. But anyway, but yes, it's just what matters how you can craft the story at the end of the day, because ultimately that's what I want. Fully solid story, of course. Obviously, when it comes to this kind of stuff, even if it's anime, that doesn't matter really. I just want something to be well done. Of course, it just depends on how it's done. So, of course, this is pretty much reminds me of those, yeah, very reminiscent of adventure movies of back in the day in a lot of ways when I think about it. Oh, come on, Rogue Agent Killer Dan. Collecting old cars and restore them, that's manly. You trying to take that away from me? What are you talking about here, mate? I don't care if you do that. If you want to collect old cars and restore them, go ahead. Oh yeah, what about computer programming? That's a manly thing to do, right? You trying to stop me from doing that? Okay, I'm just gonna go over here. Since you keep coming up with all these conspiracies, I'm just gonna go over here. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. So yeah, there was also this one part in the film where Barbie and her friend over here would be talking in this theme park kind of a thing, which I actually did like, of course. So it just reminds me of those times where, yeah, going to the theme park and just having some fun. It just helps it to make it have like an adventurous kind of feel to it, of course. Like the characters can actually have some fun, obviously. Yeah, I actually like this bit, folks, of course, because it actually makes the characters actually have a life outside of just getting into trouble. I guess gotta solve some kind of conflict and whatnot. I thought this was a nice little touch here. When you think about it, just reminds me of like a slice of life kind of thing, of course, and that's fine. And one way to make characters feel like actual characters, like they could actually be your friend or whatnot. One way is doing it is of course giving them favorite things to do. In this case, is of course going to a theme park. Like a favorite hobby? Do they like to read? Do they like to go out? Do they have any outdoor activities? Stuff like this. It's like the small things that will count. Actually, nothing wrong with adding that, really. But then, of course, just a whole bit where they have to go on this eventually on this big adventure and whatnot. So that's definitely a thing. It's a good little touch with storytelling, of course. And that's not too shabby, really, when you think about it. It makes them feel like they could be actually relatable in their own little way, I suppose. Anyway, so I definitely think that this could be it's always an adventurous movie, what they're trying to do here in the grand scheme of things, of course. And so, yeah, I mean, yes, I can admit that some of the dialogue is kind of needs some work. I'll say that some of the dialogue does need some work. All right, this is definitely a dogs movie, as if you can guess that yourself. So if somebody that enjoys animals, especially dogs, you have a dog lover, then there you go, quite obviously. So even the dogs themselves will have their own personality and whatnot, and they have to have like their own adventure, as you can guess yourself, which does happen in the film. That's supposed to be part of the story anyway, in some kind of way, as you can guess yourself, of course. So okay, in the grand scheme of things, I would definitely say it's something I wouldn't mind having in my collection, and I will do that. And I definitely wanted to just have this kind of movie here. We're gonna talk about the music. The music itself is definitely fitting, and the scope of things, trying to give an overall solid mood throughout the entire movie. Yeah, there's nothing too loud or anything like that. Sure, there's nothing too in your face, but for the music itself, what they're trying to do with the music as a whole, it's enough for the at the end of the day. It's not too shabby, really. These types of movies can be full of energy, which is fun, and obviously filled with charm, of course. And I will admit that that's what they're trying to do in the grand scheme of things when it comes to the characters, the storyline, and whatnot, because you do have to keep things going. It never drags out, and it felt like, okay, you spend too much time in a certain segment of the story, you can't just go along with it already. So thankfully, in terms of pacing, I didn't think it dragged down too much. Everything's felt like, and it goes very smoothly. This movie is barely over an hour. It's like really rare that these movies are any longer than that. Really, it's barely over the hour. These movies tend to be fairly short anyway, so that's fine. And that's the thing though. In that regard, like I was saying, the energy is pretty much very straightforward. Things get going pretty fast. Really, it gets one segment of the movie to another pretty quickly, as it should, of course. And yes, of course, I do like the fact that, of course, Barbie really tries to do her best to keep everyone together, regardless of her sisters, her friends, what have you. Everything, as far as characters go, they're enough to engage and carry the film throughout the entire thing. Of course, Barbie herself is going to be the really likable one. Of course, she's going to be really resourceful as ever, of course. And that's the thing with Barbie. She's always seems to be the individual to be really resourceful and somehow to get herself and the other people out of trouble in some kind of way. Of course, it's about teamwork, of course. As I was saying, yes, obviously, everyone else, all the other characters do have the work, of course. Yeah, it's enough for the others to carry on their own and to some extent their entire film and carry the story on their own as well. So that's something, of course. And yes, despite contrary to popular belief, Barbie herself can be serving as a good role model, of course, at least as far as I'm concerned, anyway. And those dogs in the movie, that alone, the fact that there's dogs as characters in the movie, that in itself should be something that could be is enough for a lot of people out there, and that's fine. It's puppies. No, you can't get mad at that. It's puppies, of course. And okay, so yeah, there was that, obviously. So nothing wrong with that. Neither it's dogs. There's plenty of puppies to go around here, and that's definitely a good thing, of course. I was never really a dog person, really. If I can be honest with you, not really. But I can see what they're attempting to do, and of course, what really matters if the story is good. Of course, at the end of the day, that's all we care about. Is just if the story is good. Of course, the chemistry between the characters is good enough as well. And of course, you gotta make sure the chemistry between the characters are good. Of course. So what I'm getting at is, in terms of writing, when it comes to writing a script, it's solid enough to get these characters through. Of course, obviously, because considering the fact that you have to make sure that they are written in such a way that they're not unintentionally dislikable. Of course, which has happened in movies before, or even TV shows as well. To come to think about it. But yes, this could be served as a way to give some kind of positive messaging that could be delivered within right amount. Of course, not to be to make it. It's enough to make its point and subtly, not so in your face. And that's fine. If you want to have a good message in a movie, sure, you don't have to be so in your face about it. You do have to make it enough. It's subtle enough and make it to the point enough. Of course. All right, then let me just wrap things up here. And let me just wrap things up here, folks. So, all right. I do appreciate anybody for watching because I know sometimes my video can get kind of long, really. Anywho, in terms of voice acting, I thought the voice acting is actually quite good, really. And I know there was various women who would voice Barbie throughout the years. I know it's not always the same woman. There was definitely plenty of other women who voiced Barbie. And the actress who voiced Barbie in this one actually does a pretty good job, of course. And as for everyone else, they actually did a good job as well. For everyone else, they actually did do a pretty solid job as well, folks. I would definitely say that. So everyone involved in this project, when it comes to voice acting, is pretty good. Not too bad in the grand scheme of things when it comes to that, of course. Those are enough entertainment for this to keep me engaged, I guess, because I didn't complain too much in the grand scheme of things, really, when it comes to the characters, story, the obstacles they had to go through. So yeah, not too shabby on what they were trying to go for, quite obviously. So there's that. Anyway, this was a pretty crazy adventure. Oh boy. So yeah, things can get pretty wild in the grand scheme of things, but that's fine. Yes, this movie could be in good quality despite the fact that Barbie herself started as a doll. But as far as I'm concerned, this is pretty entertaining. It was enjoyable, so I'll give this an overall rating of a 7.0 10. It gets a 7.0 10 from me. So thanks for watching. See you.